Hello. I guess if we're recording, I have to stand here, huh?
I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
If you're recording this, you can't use the profanity.
Fuck that.
I didn't say that.
Everybody's got to have their own brand, right?
That is a session later.
Fuck that. There's a cursing session later? Because I will rock that
No,
one.
it's creating your own brand.
It would be a great topic if you watched in Salesforce. Things that didn't go the way you expected.
Yes.
Yeah. So I created a namespace for my org. Oh, fuck. Whoops. Do I wait for a go or just kick off?
So I don't know what time it is anymore.
Does everybody want to get going?
1:30.
Awesome. Let's make sure this doesn't go. Here we go. So this one, yeah, we're not doing session creep. You're right. All right, so this is going to be on preventing feature creep. My name is Brian Walsh. I work with Code Science, and we'll dig into it. Before we get started on it, these are our sponsors. This is the first one. Everybody having a good time so far? Yeah, it's awesome. So give it up. Make sure you stop by their booths. Go by, check out the stuff. Great services and products out there for them. So hello. I have the best job in the world, the absolute best job. I get to run a delivery team of about 70 people, 60 people at Code Science that are bringing incredibly hard products to market. So over 70 AppExchange apps have come to market, hundreds of different big custom solutions. We focus on SaaS companies, so we get to work with entrepreneurs, hot spaces. We go from two-person startups all the way up to the biggest SaaS companies in the world like Salesforce, where we're doing huge properties for them. I also get to do our marketing, which means not only do I get to do the great stuff and work with the great people, I get to talk about it all the time. So I have great ones. So within the room, this really isn't about me. How many people are professional services? Anyone? Couple? Handful? How many people are working for a company working on Salesforce stuff directly for that company? How many on the admin side? Cool. How many on the dev side? Awesome. How many people, anybody doing ISV products, building products in the AppExchange? You got a handful of those too. Great. I think this will be applicable for everybody. I tend to talk about products, but I look at any project we do as a product. So please translate that as I speak. That is a commercial implementation. We're improving a sales process. We're bringing out a community, whatever that is. I still talk about that as a product because I think you're solving a problem in the world. All right, what's feature creep? I think feature creep is, a Snuggie is a wonderful example of feature creep. We're not being able to actually define who your users were, not being able to define what the real problem was, not having agreement. So was it going to be a bathrobe or a blanket? I don't know, let's do both. If they had unlimited budget, can you imagine how far they would have gone with that idea? There would be tails, there would be shoes, there would be everything. Like, you could have a bathroom built into it, right? They didn't actually understand that. Now, commercially, it was probably a pretty good success because it's cheap as hell and it was great marketing and funny. But overall, feature creep for me is not understanding exactly what your users need, and then continuing just to add those additional features because you're guessing, right? Oh, I think they might need this. Oh, I think they might need that. There's another side of it also is having alignment with everybody, all your stakeholders. It's very easy to have Joe from accounting, who's a real asshole, come in and say, yeah, but I have this pet project I want to sneak in there too, right? So there's a lot of things that can drive it, but in the end, we start bloating software and we make it confusing for our end users. We make it slow to market, we miss our deadlines, and we lower the quality as well, right? There's more things to test, there's more things to QA. So our goal should be to put as few features into something as possible. We actually want to remove features. And that's actually a really hard thing to do once it's out in the wild, right? So we want to be very judicious. What goes in, know exactly what's happening. So the first part of the success is knowing that you actually control it. And I don't care if you're on the dev side or not, right? I think admins really are the ones running that show. That project manager, the product owner, the product manager, they have the most control, but I think it does cascade all the way down to the team. And so we're going to go through a series of questions that we can focus on, things that we can look at, but it does start with every individual. You have the power to do that. I always kick off a project, and I don't care what the size of the project, closing my eyes, envisioning what is this going to look like at the end. And I don't limit it just to the product itself, because a lot of times you may not know what the product actually looks like when you're going to get there. Do an R&D, you're getting there. But I like to also extend that to say, how are the users going to be affected? How will my team feel at the end of this? When I'm running, are they going to walk away saying, God, that sucked? Or, wow, that was awesome, right? I like to envision that with the actual people and be specific in my head, because I feel that that sets me up for each engagement and interaction that I'm going to have with people as we go through. So really imagine, and it's where it gets dangerous is where we sort of say, oh, this is just a small one. It's no big deal. Let's just rush into it. Well, we got to know exactly what we want to be at the end of it, right? So, first part is failure. I love this video. Not video, Giphy. We should not be afraid of failing. I think failure is your fastest way to success. You should fail early and you should fail often. It's the only way that you can learn. If we only do things correctly, we're never going to change, right? We're never going to innovate. We're never going to do it. So the only real failure for me is when we don't learn from it. But there are bad types of failures, and those are failures of it takes a long time to learn that lesson, right? We do a waterfall methodology. We work on this for a year. We get it in front of the customers or the users, and the users say, oh, that sucks. You guys built the wrong thing. That's a really bad failure. What we want to do is set up failures early and often, okay? And we'll talk about, as we go through this, questions we can do and how to break that in. See if this still works. So our biggest technology challenge that we have are humans. It's the number one technology challenge you're going to face in anything that you do. If it weren't for humans, computers would be awesome. They would. They would totally rock. Every software product would be perfect if it weren't for humans, right? But it takes humans to program them. It takes humans to plan them. It takes humans to use them. Everything about it is human. And so unlike probably the other sessions that you're going to go through here, I'm not going to talk about Salesforce at all. And I apologize, but I don't think that that's what's holding us back and infecting our products with bad features. I think it's the people that are involved that are doing it. So everything that we're going to focus on today is this technology problem. So the most important portion to kick off, how do we kick this project off? Don't do that. Don't be that guy. You want to try, no matter the size of the project, to get everybody in the room. Start off all together. So you want to have the stakeholders. You want to have your economic buyer, right? Who is actually doing this? You work internally, there's still a budget. So this is still coming out of somebody's P&L, right? So you want everybody in that same room. You want to kick off. The most senior person you want to have invested in that project. They want to set down the law. Here's what our goal is. Here's what our vision is. We want to go with that. But start together. If everybody starts in a different place, if everybody's starting at a different time, it's hard to make sure you have full alignment on what you're actually solving in the world, right? What is this problem that we're solving? What's the software that we're creating? So a series of questions that we get into. And I think the first one that we always get to is, what do you want? Right? What specifically are we doing here? We're speeding up this sales process. With data entry, we're moving everything to the Lightning experience so it'll be better on mobile. What are we doing, right? And we dive into that. That's obviously easy. That's where we all really get excited, right? What are we doing? Oh, we can use that, right? We get pumped up on that. But before we get too far into that, when do you need this? I honestly think short projects are the best when they were actually pushed for time. I've walked into projects where they say, we have a year to get this done, and I get scared as hell, right? Because a year is too long. It's too long to know if we failed. It's too easy for people to start slipping in pet projects. It's too easy for funding to go sideways, goals and priorities to change. So when they're really pushing, that's awesome. You actually want to have just a little bit too less of time than you need. It gets everybody motivated on the same page. Obviously, what's the budget? These are very dangerous situations when they actually say this. Budget's no issue. Go back and look at Snuggies. What if they had no budget issues? What would they have created? Right? It's really scary because it gets, and I'm saying this as professional services, we love huge budgets. We love them. But the second that happens, your scope just goes crazy. And now you're solving many problems, not one. And that's where it gets really messy for the end user, because are you actually delivering value for what they need, or are you just burning that budget, applying it in there? But here's where we get to my favorite ones. So the first one is, what are our risks? I'm going to lose you on that one. What are our risks, right? And the risks aren't just technology. The risks should be about people too. So when you're sitting in that room and you have everyone together, you should be asking all of those stakeholders, what do you see as the biggest risks? Oh, you're not going to be able to get schedule with these users to talk to them. Oh, there's going to be an issue where this person really has a pet project that they're trying to push onto it. Like, you want to uncover these risks, and not just you want everybody involved in that project starting to talk about it and own it. Because those are the things that we need to get rid of as fast as possible. We need to address that. We need to mitigate it. By not knowing our risk and addressing them quickly, that sets us up for the long fail, right? So I know that if making something lightweight for a mobile application is a big risk, right? It takes too long for these web pages. That's what we've identified as a technical risk. That's what I should be testing first, right? Think about when ACA and the health market came online. I would have said pretty clearly that the entire country being able to log on to that website at the same time was really important, and that's a risk we should check out, right? And so we didn't have to limit it to 10 people at a time. Identify your risks and then set your project plan up to knock those risks out as quickly as possible. You want to be able to fail on them. If it's that mobile page, be able to try it 3 times. Don't wait till the very end where you get it all built and then test that risk, okay? But by the users owning this, right, everybody involved owning this is actually arming you. It's arming you for the conversation about feature creep that's coming up. Who are the users? I am the biggest proponent of UX in the world. I love UX. User experience, understanding our users. What's the context? Where are they? What are they using it? How are they using it? What's important to them? What does their day look like, right? Understand that person. Who is the end user that's going to be using it? And sometimes there's 4 or 5 personas that may be in there for a product if it gets complex. But really understand that and make sure everybody's on the same boat. Because when they're building that accounting package, and now they want to do a connector to McDonald's to do cool ordering of food directly from your accounting package, you're armed to say, show me which one of these users' personas would do that, right? You have to understand who is going to use this end system. And finally, my most important question is why? Why the fuck are we spending this money? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why is it important for you to stop everything that you're doing in your busy day and get this problem solved? And you got to ask this in the Socratic method. Keep digging down why. Oh, we want a faster process for our salespeople. Cool. Why? Well, it turns out it's not because they're not closing enough deals. It's because we're about to onboard 500 salespeople. Oh, well, are we solving the right problem? Do you really want me to redo this form, or is this about how we onboard and train people? Why? Keep driving that home. I would take all of those things and write them down. Make it very clear. Share it. Socialize it. Here is the problem we're fixing. Here are the users that we're solving this problem for. Here is why we're doing it. Here is a compelling event that we're trying to launch at. Here's the timeline that we're going to do it. And here's how much it's going to cost. And you make sure that's crystal clear with everybody at the start, right? Because that then is the filter that you have to apply to any feature that you're going to put into the product. Does this feature work for these users on that problem within our budget? It could be the coolest feature in the world, but if it doesn't work for those users on a specific problem within your budget and your timeline, don't put it in. And that's what arms you. Right? That's like your most important tool to go to battle with. So features should always provide value, no matter what. If you look at some of the great slimmed down products that came out in this last version of the web that started going on, whether it be Tumblr or Twitter, right? They've done an incredible amount of work. Look at all the stuff that Apple does of removing features. Let's get rid of hard drives. Let's get rid of floppy drives. Let's get rid of USB. We'll just go to a one USB-C. It's about making it simpler. And that's what we should be looking at our features. So as you're getting asked to add things in, you need to have all of that information to have that conversation. How are we going to judge whether or not that's a real feature or not? So change requests. I seriously feel like this almost every day. The unfortunate part about my job is that I usually only get brought in when things are going sideways. So this is very often how I feel. But I'll tell you that when I walk into work with teams, the first thing that I grill them on are all of those initial questions. What was the original product? What was the original project? What's their budget? What's their timeline? And then ask back. And the ask back for me on that point is, do you want to change some of those original assumptions that we went in? Do you want to do that? Are you changing when we're going to launch? Yes or no? Are you changing how much money you're going to spend? Are you changing the problem that we're solving? Because if they're not, then you have the conversation of whether, something has to give. You allocated $500,000 to do this, and now we're doing a big change. You want to do something different. So what's going to change? Is it the timeline? Are we removing other features? Is it the money? Something has to give in that piece. But you should also have a process for that and document that. So on very, very large projects, right, you have a steerco, if you have a steering committee that's up there, and they're actually going to have a change management function where they're actually going through to do that. On smaller projects, you should still do that. You should have a list of things that you've changed, assumptions that you've changed, decision, the time. You want to have this, one, for you to remember, but two, to be able to document that as you go forward, right? As you onboard new people, as you're talking to a new executive. So skill number one, which I'm actually not very good at, is saying no. I'm actually great at saying no. I say no all the time. I'm horrible at making people feel good about the no. And we have some amazing people on our team that do specifically that. And I watch them operate, and it's funny, they can go into a room and tell them no for an hour, and everybody walks out going, that was great, what a fucking meeting. I'm like, I would have walked in and done it in 5 minutes. No, no, no. So don't do that. But again, if you're armed with understanding the problem, if you're truly a subject matter expert when you go in, you're helping them come to that same conclusion. So you're not actually saying no, you're leading them down the path to come to the same conclusion that you're at. You won't always be able to say no to everything, right? When the executive walks in the room, CEO comes in, there are times you're gonna have to acquiesce. But you wanna arm yourself to be able to have that conversation and saying no, and I think having them learn and come to that same conclusion is a much more powerful way. Keeps everybody aligned on the same page. My favorite time ever is code freeze. Celebrate like hell, right? Team has busted their ass for 6 months, for 3 months, for 2 weeks, whatever that time period is. You get to code freeze, we think we have a release candidate, we're gonna go into user acceptance testing. It is also the time period where I get so damn scared. I get so damn scared because that's where everything can fall apart, because you've done a good job at this point of bringing a product up, right? You've got it all the way through this process. You've been saying no. You finally have a product and you're going to start showing it off. They're going to do user acceptance testing. I think there's a couple of ways that this can go bad. First off is most people are not good with a blank whiteboard. They're horrible at it. But if you take a whiteboard and you actually draw a house on there, an outline of a house, and you put a fence and you put a rolling hill, and then ask them to go to the whiteboard, they'll start coloring it in. They'll start telling a story there. So when we're being tasked with bringing a project to market or bringing a product to market, most people are in that blank area. They don't really know what they're asking for. So we'll write out functional specs, we'll write out user stories, but it still doesn't translate very well. People aren't as good as you at understanding what software is going to be. So by the time they first see it, Now they actually understand what you've been talking about. Oh, that's what a button is, right? Like, it'll sink in for them. So that's a big part of it. They're going to start doing feature requests. It's also the first time that you show it to the executive usually, right? Executives are awesome at coming in and swooping and pooping on it, right? I think waiting until UAT to show an executive is the worst mistake you can do. You started off correctly. You had them all in the room. You gathered the risks. You gathered what are we actually building? How much is it going to cost? Keep a conversation going. Your biggest technology challenge is that relationship, right? You want to make sure they're on board the whole time. So I am not a fan of just shooting emails and saying, well, hey, I shot you emails. You should have read them. Because that's not actually getting the job done, right? Maybe that person is like me and has 2,000 unread emails in their inbox. So figure out what works best for them. Is it Slack? Is it Chatter? Is it I record a video and send it to you? Is it I come demo for you over coffee every Wednesday? I don't care what it is. You find something that works for those executives and you keep them on board the whole time. It should never be a surprise unveiling to an executive. You're setting yourself up to be like that cat. Don't be that cat. This is to me is the scariest part. So I'll tell you a story. We just finished a huge project for Salesforce called Basecamp. It's their brand new homepage for all the employees internally. We did it in, I think it was about 5 months, large team, 3 different consulting groups in there, Salesforce IT in there, went all the way up on the steering committee to Keith Block, who's now the COO. I mean, this is monster project. Knocked it out of the park. First UAT, 0 bugs for the first release. For R1, we go in, 0 bugs. But what they started reporting weren't really bugs anymore. It was, hey, we didn't actually know this is what you were building. So what started coming in were feature requests. And we went on one day, because we went 2 days in, no bugs at all, we started taking feature requests, and we, being morons, acquiesced and said, sure, we'll do that. It was the only time in the project where we actually introduced bugs that went into production, because during UAT, we tried to do feature requests. Right? Because at that point, you're not thinking about all the ramifications that change has. Hey, if we change this message class, what did it do to the data model? What did it do to security? Do we have to do something with permission set? There are so many pieces that when we're in development mode, we think so well about. But when we're in this user testing mode and fixing bugs, we're not going to be as good at it. So you want to set yourself up for feature requests to never happen during UAT. It's not easy. Part of that is planning it out, right? You want to, if you were doing a big shebang release like we were, we actually did 4 releases. So we do a release early in December, we do another release in January, and then we do 2 more releases that are just 1 week apart, right before they got to the sales kickoff. And we do that so we can actually react and plan, rather than trying to do it during just a 2-week or 1-week UAT period. So setting that piece up there. But that is absolutely my most fearful time, mainly because it affects quality. It's a really bad place to affect quality on there. You're probably getting tired of seeing that, by the way. 3 minutes left. All right, so you make it all the way through, you're a hero. You're an absolute hero. He's my favorite thing of feature creep, right? What was the smallest feature possible to kick the shit out of those 2 guys? He's the perfect feature. And when you're at the end, celebrate. Celebrate, and not just with yourself, make sure the team's in there. Right? Because you've brought them on this journey, got everybody enrolled on the same page, so acknowledge their work, because it'll pay off. These are the people you're going to work for a long time. So that's all we got. Any questions? I think we have like 2 minutes. Apologies, I ran late. Yeah?
With regards to UAT, how do you, at what point in time do you bring them in to compose the test cases that you're going to be using so that you can ensure that your UAT is as robust as possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we started that, in this case for the releases, we were on 2-week sprints. So we started about 2 sprints out, so about a month out. We started with business analysts, with the product owners, product managers to start going through. rough themes and epics that would go that, you know, we knew in the very beginning what our themes and epics were for each release. So we took those and started transcribing it down to the actual user stories that we're doing. Again, we're very agile. And then the last week was where it got pretty hot and heavy. They had a separate environment that they were actually, the UAT prep team was actually doing UAT testing already to make sure the scripts were working. So I think it really depended on the size of the project. Obviously, if you're just doing a quick refresh of something, it's one sprint, you get 2 weeks, you know, you're gonna move fast and probably do it along that process. I would encourage you, though, never to have your dev team involved in UAT scripts, because they should never be the ones writing, here's, you know, validate the business reason. I wrote the code, they'll always pass if the dev does it. It's like dev doing QA or QE, right? You never want that. Any other questions? And I apologize if I just scared you away from animated GIFs for the rest of your life. Awesome, well, thank you very much. Thank you, John Nelson, for the laptop.
Go team.
Go team.